I don't think God said, go murder pastors. He just didn't.
He didn't tell me to do that. Absolutely not. I did that on my own. But it is a commandment. It is in the Bible that if if anyone's preaching that somebody other than God is God, breaking the first commandment, the punishment for breaking the first commandment is death. You replace who my daddy is, I'm going to nail you to the wall.
Hey guys, it's Garrett coming to you live from Daily Divers. There's Daily Dive Disciple. We've got a weird one, concerning one here for you guys today. There was a guy who took it upon himself named Adam Schiff who decided to target pastors, 14 total, and he didn't know who they were. He was just going to kill random people who were pastors and crucify them because he believes that he was taught wrong, and he's going by the 10 Commandments. You shall have no other gods before me. He sees Jesus as a different God, and he's really upset. And so this is why we can't avoid the Old Testament, guys. So this is a little concerning. We should know this as churches. You need to teach in the Old Testament too. Yeah, so it's crazy. I'll stay tuned during the video too. So be able to show even from the Old Testament where there's more, where God is describing himself as the servant, right, and a couple other areas too. But anyway, shenanigans. Yeah, it's a major shenanigan for sure. But anyway, so clicking that here, let's dive into this.
Hi, Mr. Steve.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing? Did you kill Pastor Bill Shanneman?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's a long story, but to summarize it, Yahavah alone is God. It's the first commandment. It's the most important commandment of them all. The preachers are, in my perspective, are leading the flocks astray. They're preaching that Jesus is God's only son and God also. That's not what God said. Very clearly, he said that he alone is God. It's the first commandment. And so with the belief that Jesus is the only Son of God and God, God's laws were annulled entirely. There's 13 tribes of Israel. So what I wanted to do was execute and crucify 13 priests and put one of the tribes of Israel in each of their right ears, which I did with this priest. I put the tribe of Benjamin. And then the 14th I wanted to do for Adam, because clearly Adam was God's one and only created son in his image, is the first story told in the Bible.
So you feel the difference is between regular people that believe in God and pastors or preachers, that there's a difference there?
Huge difference, because the first commandment is the most important commandment of them all. Pornography, drugs, the sanctity of marriage is completely eroded. It's vicious out there. Somebody like me who's been in and out of prison, the prisons are flooded with drugs. And I'm thinking to myself, the world is a wreck.
But if you're talking about sin, murder is a sin.
Well, yeah, it is a sin, but God also commanded us to execute anyone that's preaching that someone other than him is God, because it's that serious.
He's talking about Deuteronomy, by the way. So he's completely taking it out of context as well, but I digress.
Claiming that Jesus is God and that somebody other than God is God. So what's this Jesus is only God's son garbage that I was raised to believe? That's not what God said.
So when did this plan come to fruition? You're thinking about this, you want to carry out this hit list?
Yes.
A hit list.
Sure.
14 pastors.
That's right. Around the nation. To surround the nation.
Starting in Arizona?
Starting in Arizona, where I was born. Where it starts is where it ends, like the Garden of Eden.
Right.
How did you pick out these pastors and these preachers?
I just let the Spirit follow me wherever I landed. And the first one where I went was Olive Street, the Church of Christ, and I thought, well, that makes sense. There shouldn't be a Church of Christ. There should only be a Church of Yahavah.
So you get to Phoenix.
I get to Phoenix. I just set up a tent under a tree on Olive Street, and I followed that priest home Sunday after Easter service. And when he pulled into his driveway, the two women came out of the garage. I'm not interested in executing anyone other than the pastors or the shepherds leading the flock astray. So then I said to myself, okay, I need to find pastors or priests that live alone. And so
notice he said, I need to find myself. Right. He's saying he's on a mission for God, but he has to do this. I hear a lot of I's. So is it God telling him to do this? No. And I think he actually says that later, but it's not a mission God has you on, man. Geez, it's your own lusts.
I set up another tent off of a Carefree Highway between 24th and 16th Street, and I was looking at those churches, and then I happened to stumble across the New River Church, and I followed him home, and I saw that he lived alone.
So you had no previous contact with Pastor Bill?
Zero. I
Zero.
didn't want any previous contact. My only criteria was you're breaking the first commandment.
Pastor Bill was innocent.
My only criteria.
Innocent, in your perspective, there's nothing
But not
worse,
yours.
but there's nothing worse than breaking the first commandment. All you got to do is just worship Jesus and you go to heaven. Your sins are all forgiven. That's not what God said.
But do you think God was going to forgive your sins?
Absolutely, he'll forgive my sins. He's a forgiving God. He's a loving God.
How do you justify that? I mean, if you're killing somebody or multiple people attempted,
Okay, but
how does that work?
It's a commandment to rid Israel of evil.
You see Bill,
Yeah.
you follow him home.
That's right.
What happens next?
Then I follow him home. I see that he lives alone. All right. I go back to the house, or I go back to the desert where I'm camping. I need weapons, right? I need something to execute him with. So I go into a house. I walk to a house and go into it. There's no one living there, and I'm in Phoenix for the tribe Benjamin. It's the first tribe up, and there's a rifle under the bed that has painted on it Phoenix Benjamin, which was a pellet gun. But I thought, Benjamin Phoenix, that's what I'm supposed to use. I don't know, it was just crazy coincidence.
You're hiding outside.
I'm hiding outside the house. The helicopters on top of me were maybe 5 blocks from the house because I ran through the mountain. Then I waited for the helicopter to leave. I've done this, I've been in and out of prison, so I know I ran the police probably 100 times in my life. So I leave, and then when I come back to the house later after all the police leave, my car, they confiscated, they took it, so now I don't have a vehicle. So I broke back into the house because I know there's a truck in the garage. I got the supplies I needed to do the execution, and I drove from there to Bill's house, like 2 in the morning on a Sunday night, and I executed him. And then I crucified him by nailing him to the wall, screwing him to the wall. It's fast. I mean, it's, I didn't want it to be bloody. I didn't want it to be a painful. I'm not trying to torture the guy. I just wanted to execute him quickly. So I just put my hand over his mouth and told him to sit still, don't move, and wait until he stopped breathing.
What did you feel in that moment?
I'm executing a plan, and so in that moment, I wanted to make sure that he wasn't going to start breathing again. And then I took a stud finder, found the studs in the wall, and I had a power drill, and I put him in the cross position on the wall, and I screwed him to the wall. And then I had a crown of thorns I put on his head, and in a leather strap, I had hammered in the tribe of Benjamin in Hebrew.
Notice there's no emotion. First off, right off the bat, no emotion, devoid of it. This is just a task. It's just a task he's doing. There's nothing connecting him emotionally to this. It's all just whatever he wants to do, his own lusts, and he's got to fill this out. He's fulfilling a task. He's doing a check mark off of a list, which you see that most legalistic people are kind of like that, actually.
Hebrew letters and large letters, and on the other side I had the first commandment in Hebrew letters, that Yahavah alone is God, and I hung that from his right ear with a rusty piece of wire that I had through the leather strap that I already had pre-ready to go. Yeah. So I just punched it through his ear and hung it. So he's crucified against the wall with the image of Jesus, because what I'm saying is, what you're preaching is not what God said. It's the opposite of what God said.
Most people that would come into that scene, Bill's murder scene, would be horrified.
Sure,
horrified.
That's right.
Were you feeling satisfied?
I wasn't, look, it's not in my heart to go around killing people. Look, he's my daddy. So, you're preaching somebody else is...
What are you talking about? You're doing it.
his son that's not his son. Well, where's Jesus in the Bible?
But I know you also have a family. Bill has a family. Did you think about that at all?
No, I'm thinking about the families that are in utter destruction, by following these false teachings and not obeying God and not giving our Creator the respect for giving families life to begin with.
Do you feel remorse for those who lost Bill as their family? Their father?
Well, I mean, no, because I lost, I lost he erased my daddy, He's saying that somebody other than my daddy's God. So do I feel remorse?
But your dad's alive.
Well, my human father's alive, but I don't think of him as my dad. I think of God as my dad.
Honor thy mother and thy father. You broke another one, man.
When did that come about?
That came about 9 years ago.
Why 9 years ago? What happened?
A light shot through the ceiling of my cell and into me, and ever since then I see the Star of David.
The bulb. When they turned on the lights.
Did you think you were going to get away with this?
I wasn't planning on getting away with it. I know who I am. God would never allow me to spend the rest of my life in jail, and he'll never allow anyone to execute me, which is why I said set the execution date right now. God would never, ever, ever sacrifice his son.
If you had 14 that you wanted to carry out,
That's right.
wouldn't you have tried to get away with this, to try to carry out all 14?
Yeah, I did try to carry out all 14.
But obviously you got caught after the first one.
That's right.
If you had gotten away with Bill's murder, where were you going to go next?
That's where I got caught, was
Sedona.
In Sedona. That's why I had my tent. There was 2 priests, and I had both. I was going to do Ephraim and tribe Manasseh were next. I had both of the leather tags made out, both of the thorn crowns.
Yeah, where'd you get a thorn crown?
In the desert, the trees with the thorns on them. I cut it and make a crown of thorns. I just, in a circle, So I had both of those priests as my target. I was en route of getting into the back of the car of the second priest, and an old lady got in front of me. I had lost my vehicle because I got in a high-speed chase with the police in the stolen truck in Sedona. I escaped. I ran up a mountain. I got away from all the cops. I hiked all the way back to my tent. And I was still, on target for those 2 priests. But I wanted my target so bad that I refused to leave, so I hiked all the way back, because the high-speed chase probably was 10 miles. It went for a while. I was going fast. I got back to my tent at like 3 in the morning, got up in the morning.
So had you not been caught, were you planning to murder the next day?
Yeah, I tried that day. I couldn't get into the back. Where the pastors or priest park is right in front of the Holy Cross. So I thought, man, I gotta follow him home, but I lost the truck. So the reason why I got caught is because I was looking for a vehicle to steal to be able to follow him, which is why I triggered the alarm in that house and went into the garage, hoping there would be an extra vehicle. Had I had a vehicle, those 2 were done. They didn't have a chance in hell.
Your final...
Sounds like God prevented you, and you said you were being led by the Spirit, but the Spirit led you to prison. That's exactly what happened.
Priest was where you were baptized?
That's right.
Why was that church on your list? Was there a...
It's personal, because I start in Phoenix, starts in the Garden of Eden, ends in the Garden of Eden. I start in Phoenix, where I was born, on this life, and I'm going to end in Phoenix, where I was baptized, which I don't appreciate, when I was 3 years old by my parents. I'm baptized in a belief that is completely false. And from there was Las Vegas, Nevada, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, Billings, Montana, Detroit, Michigan, New York, Charlotte, North Carolina, Mobile, Alabama, Beaumont, Texas, and El Paso, Texas. So 4 of them were going to get hit in Arizona. So I was circling the United States.
How'd you pick those states?
Just to circle it.
So you have 0 remorse for this killing?
Not only do I have 0 remorse, I plan on fulfilling what I started. If my Father puts me in an authoritative position on this earth, I will execute every single priest and burn every church to the ground.
I mean, it's likely you'll be in prison for the rest of your life.
That's what you think. I want the death penalty because I want to show you can't kill God's son. That whole story is BS.
So if you're given the death penalty, it's not likely you'll be executed quickly.
Well, I want it quickly so that we can get this show on the road and show exactly what I'm trying to do.
Would you want to be crucified?
It couldn't happen.
But is that
I
something
couldn't so much as dash my foot upon a stone. I mean, the cops, Dogs are coming at me. I saw my father had angels just direct them to the left, direct them to the right. Not one bit me.
How would you feel, though, if somebody crucified you?
But you're right here in prison. Oh, goodness, guy.
Good luck trying. I have the plan to rid this earth of evil.
I mean, do you really think that this is normal?
I think these are the end times. These are the last days. I am the lion. I'm called evil, and the preacher preaching that someone other than God, the son of Satan is God, is considered good. And so what did I do? I struck, because I'm everyone's oldest father, and daddy's going to strike.
Jesus, if you're thinking about coming back right now, now's a good time.
Do you think you're a monster?
Do I think I'm a monster? No.
I mean, but it's a gruesome killing of another person. Most people would consider that monstrous.
Sure, of course they would.
But you don't think you are?
No, I see myself as more of like a saint. I mean, from your perspective, that's murder. Thou shalt not kill. That is one of the 10 commandments. But also God commands that if anybody is to preach that anyone other than him is God, we are to stone them to death, or we are to execute them. And so I'm following that law. Did God ask me to do this? Absolutely not. I did it
Full stop. There it is. What are you doing, dude?
on my own because I got sick and tired and fed up.
You're cherry picking certain commandments to follow and not.
Sure.
How do you choose that, and why?
Right. So it's difficult, right? Thou shalt not kill. That's a clear commandment. Also, there's a commandment that if somebody is preaching that somebody other than God is God, we are to execute them and rid evil of Israel. So I'm obeying that commandment.
So you're just choosing what works for you?
No, I'm choosing what God's commandments are. So yeah, you'd say, hey, on one hand, God is saying, thou shalt not kill, but on the other hand...
It's still picking what you think matters most in the commandments.
Well, then
It's not following thou shalt not kill, clearly.
Well, yeah, but thou shalt not kill is do not hold anger in your heart towards your brethren and strike them where they die. If somebody is breaking God's commandments, like, during the Sabbath...
You've interpreted this how you see fit.
That's how God, that's the way God commanded it.
I don't think God said, go murder pastors. He just didn't.
He didn't tell me to do that. Absolutely not. I did that on my own. But it is a commandment. It is in the Bible that if if anyone's preaching that somebody other than God is God, breaking the first commandment, the punishment for breaking the first commandment is death. You replace who my daddy is, I'm going to nail you to the wall.
That's brutal.
Well, life is brutal. Satan is brutal.
Okay, well, that's a little crazy. As you can see, this guy is off his rocker, right? But yeah, he definitely needs Jesus for sure. So his claims that God did not say that he was Jesus, or did not say he was the servant, for example. Yes, actually he did. Actually he did. If you actually read the Bible, you would be able to see it. So I'm going to show you guys here real quick.
You shall not pass!
So one of my favorites is Isaiah 42:1 and 43:10. There's others, of course, but so 42:1, behold my servant, whom I uphold, my chosen, in whom my soul delights. I have put my spirit upon him, and he will bring forth justice to the nations. So, what do we have there? The servant, 1, Yahweh, 2, his spirit, 3. We got the Trinity right there. So he's saying, that's his servant. He put his spirit in him, and he gets deeper in 43:10. Actually, it's like he's talking to deaf and blind people, because he is. He says, "You are my witnesses," declares Yahweh. He says, "My servant, whom I have chosen, that you may know and believe me, and understand that I am he. Before me, no God was formed, nor shall there be any after me." But the wording he's used about before me is before my face. He's not talking about a time frame in Hebrew. And he keep going. He says, "I am Yahweh. There is no, and besides me, there's no Savior, and there is no one else, guys. He is it." And it's amazing that you have these people. I mean, if we can go to Genesis 19. Here, I don't have that on here, the docket, but why not? Genesis 19. It's in the first 5 books. Sounds like he doesn't read the other ones for some reason. But if you keep going, you can kind of see it here. And here, and Yahweh rained on Sodom and Gomorrah sulfur and fire from Yahweh out of heaven. 2 Yahwehs. The original Jews originally thought there were 2 powers. You can also see that in Daniel. The Ancient of Days, the one that looks like a son of man, approached the Ancient of Days. And so, guys, if you're a pastor, please don't neglect the Old Testament. Help these people that are crazy. There's a lot of things going on in the world right now. We need stuff like this. As far as like the Old Testament, not like this guy going around killing pastors. Jeez, that's a little crazy. That is crazy. He's off his rocker. He's lost his mind. I hope God softens his heart and brings someone to teach him these things while he's in prison. And you know, he comes to Jesus before he goes, you know, to the judgment seat, because once you're there, it's over. There's no such thing as a purgatory. It's crazy. These guys are crazy. But anyway, if you like this, please comment, you know, like, comment, share, subscribe. And stay tuned. There's always plenty of shenanigans to go around. All right, see you guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.